From ordinary to extraordinary, 6 leadership strategies for entrepreneurs. In today's world, ordinary leadership just isn't enough. The world already has plenty of ordinary leaders. What we need are those who stand out as extraordinary. Think about it. As entrepreneurs, we're not in business to be average. We're here to innovate, to inspire, and to make a difference. But what actually transforms a leader from ordinary to extraordinary? Early in my journey, I thought being a leader meant having all the answers and doing everything myself. I was working 100 hours a week, burning out, simply burning out. My startup was moving, but slowly. Then I learned a game changing truth. Extraordinary leaders don't create more followers, they create more leaders. In fact, leadership expert John Maxwell says that extraordinary leadership comes from empowering the people around you. When you lift up others, you lift up the whole enterprise. So, fellow entrepreneurs, if you're ready to go from being just a good boss to an exceptional leader, listen up. So, fellow entrepreneurs, if you're ready to go from being just a good boss to an exceptional leader, today I'm sharing 6 strategies for extraordinary leadership that have transformed the way I look at business. These 6 principles aren't about fancy theories, they're practical steps you can start using today. Let's dive in. Strategy number 1, ask questions often and eagerly. One mistake many founders make is thinking they always need to tell and direct. But the smartest leaders do the opposite. They ask great questions and spark a dialogue. Why? Because a great discussion is the precursor to great decisions. Meaningful, purposeful dialogue not only builds your team's skills and knowledge, it also sharpens their discernment and decision making. Early on, when I was the guy with the my way or the highway attitude, I'd outline the plan and expect everyone to follow. But I noticed my team became dependent on me for every answer. So I tried a different approach, asking questions. When we were brainstorming, instead of pitching my idea and thoughts, I asked, "What do you think our clients really need?" The response the team provided blew me away. My team offered fresh insights I had not considered. By asking open-ended questions, how can we resolve this issue? What do you think happened? How can we provide world-class service to our clients? I got my team and colleagues thinking and taking ownership. Questions invite participation. And when your team engages in finding answers, they grow. Remember, your goal is to grow more leaders, not just more followers. Asking questions creates an environment where everyone learns and contributes. It shifts you from the sole decision maker to the guide. And that's a hallmark of an extraordinary leader and extraordinary leadership. Strategy number 2, listen closely. We've all heard it before. Listening is key. But as entrepreneurs, we can be moving a mile a minute, juggling crises and ideas. Truly listening can fall by the wayside. Real leadership means slowing down and giving people your full attention. Put the phone down, turn the TV off. Why? People feel valued when they feel heard. I'll admit, I used to listen just long enough to reply with my solution. Maybe you've done that too. One day, a team member came to me with a concern about our project timeline and the process. I was about to jump in with an answer, but instead, I stopped and really listened to him. I asked a few follow-up questions. It turned out he wasn't just complaining. He had a brilliant suggestion to streamline our process and make things better for the client. By listening, I uncovered a solution that saved us time and made him feel heard and appreciated. It reminds me of a powerful quote by author David Augsburger. Being heard is so close to being loved that for an average person, they are almost indistinguishable. That's how profound listening can be. When your team knows you truly listen, and you truly care, trust soars. And here's the kicker: the day your ideas are no longer the best ideas in the room is the day you've succeeded as a leader. It means you've empowered your team's talents so much that their ideas can outshine yours, and that's a win. Extraordinary leaders listen to understand, not just to respond. Strategy number 3: identify patterns. Great entrepreneurs are keen observers. As you ask questions and listen, step back and look at the bigger picture. Pay attention to how your people think and make decisions. Every team member has unique strengths, blind spots, and motivations. The trick is to spot those patterns. In my team, I noticed one colleague always approached problems logically, outlining the pros and the cons. Another team member led with emotion and big picture vision, great at rallying others around an idea. Seeing these patterns changed how I delegated and mentored and managed the team. Seeing these patterns changed a lot of things. I paired the analytical person with data heavy task and the visionary with brainstorming for new features and new ways to meet the client's needs. By understanding how each person operates, I can place them where they will excel and they will be an asset to the team and they will feel empowered. John Maxwell puts it this way: as you ask questions, pay attention to the way people analyze information and make decisions. Look for motivation. Look for their motivation behind their actions in order to understand how to lead them in the future. In practice, what that means, watch for what energizes them, what makes them want to get out of bed every morning, but also watch what frustrates them. Note that. Do they thrive on challenges or prefer steady routines? Do they thrive on Do they focus on details or big decisions? Once you've identified these patterns in your people, you can lead each person more efficiently and more effectively, assigning the right task to the right person, mentoring them in the style that clicks for them. John Maxwell puts it this way: as you ask questions, pay attention to the way people analyze the information and make the decisions. Look for motivation. Look for their motivation behind their actions in order to understand. In practice, that means watch what energizes them. Watch what gets them excited, makes them want to get out of bed in the morning. Do they thrive on challenges or prefer steady routines? Do they focus on details or big ideas? Once you identify the patterns in your people, you can lead each person more effectively, assigning the right tasks to the right people, mentoring them in the style that clicks with them and gets them motivated. That's something ordinary bosses overlook, but extraordinary leaders leverage. Strategy number 4: challenge thinking. Think about the best teacher or coach you ever had. Were they the one who went easy on you, or were they the ones who pushed you higher? As Ed Milet says, one more. They pushed you to go one more mile, one more to get it done. Chances are your most impactful mentors challenged you. They questioned your assumptions and pushed you out of your comfort zone. And they made you see new possibilities that you had never seen before. And if they had not been pushing you, you would have never seen. As an entrepreneur leading a team, be that mentor for the folks you work with. In our startup's early days, our ideas were okay, but not groundbreaking. We were providing the same service as anyone else. I realized we were playing it safe. So I started to challenge my team's thinking. For example, when a team member proposed a modest marketing plan for our services, I asked, "This is a good start, but what would it look like if we had no limits? How could we 10x this idea?" He was taken back at first, but the next day he came back with a bold campaign concept that we eventually used, and it really attracted a lot of clients and catapulted us into a new level. All because I gently pushed him beyond what he thought was possible. By challenging your team this way, you set the stage for breakthrough moments. When you encourage people to stretch their thinking, you're going to see flashes of insight, new creative solutions, and major growth in their confidence. It's in those moments or challenges that ordinary ideas turn into extraordinary innovations. Now, a quick note. Challenging thinking isn't about criticizing or putting anyone down. It's about asking the tough questions and raising the bar while supporting your team as they reach it. That's how you cultivate an environment where people, everyone, is constantly improving. Strategy number 5, encourage a focus on solutions. Every business has problems, product bugs, unhappy customers, missed targets and deadlines. Ordinary leaders get bug, bogged down in those problems, or worse, they become the team's problem solver in chief, fixing everything themselves. Extraordinary leaders flip the script. They build a team of problem solvers. Everyone's involved in the solution and everyone has a part. Let me share a tip I learned from John Maxwell that changed my team's culture. I told my staff, from now on, if you bring me a problem, also bring at least one or two possible solutions. First time I did this, I got a few surprised looks. But guess what? It trained everyone to think differently. In fact, Maxwell started requiring 3 solutions for every problem brought to him. The idea is simple. When someone comes in with an issue, say a project is behind, deliverables aren't being made, they also propose ways to catch up and to excel with the project or deliverables. Let me share a tip I learned from John Maxwell that changed our company's culture. I told my team, from now on, if you bring me a problem, also bring at least one or two solutions. First time I did that, I got a few stares, strange looks, like, what are you talking about? But guess what? I did this and it worked. Everyone started thinking differently about problems. They knew if they had a problem, they had to have at least 2 or 3 solutions. In fact, when Maxwell did it, he did require everyone to come to him with 3 solutions to the problem. The idea is simple. When someone comes with an issue, say a customer's not happy, projects are behind, they also propose ways to catch up and resolve any issues the client has. It's like reprioritizing tasks or adding a temporary resource. They will figure it out, and many times they'll have better ideas than what you have. We discuss, choose the best idea and run with it. I make sure to give credit to the person who came up with the solution. The approach turned my team from problem bringers and complainers into problem solvers. It empowered them and made them feel that much more part of the team. Instead of a culture of complaining or waiting for the boss to fix it, we now had a culture of ownership and solutions. And as a leader, it saves you from being the fix everything hero. And it empowers your people to flex their creative and strategic muscles. Next time someone comes to you with, here's the issue, try responding with, I hear you. What do you think we could do to tackle it? Encourage them to think it through. Take a day to come back. You might be amazed at the solutions your team comes up with when given a chance. Strategy number 6 is model the importance of reflection. Entrepreneurs are notorious for go, go, go hustle. Never stop. Sleep is an option. Entrepreneurs don't slow down. There's always another email, another feature to build, another deal to close. It's never enough. We have to keep going. But there's a paradox to the way we lead. You know, we all need to slow down and take time to think. I learned this the hard way. I used to fill every minute with action, worrying that if I wasn't actively doing something, I was falling behind and not providing service, world-class service to my clients. My mentor eventually challenged me to schedule thinking time each day and each week. First, it felt strange sitting quietly with my thoughts or a journal when I could be answering emails. But I started doing that on a daily basis every morning, and it really started opening my eyes and mind to a lot of things. But that space for reflection became a gold mine during these moments for ideas and perspectives. Some of my startups' best innovations popped up in those moments of calm when I finally had time to connect the dots and clear my mind. One of the most important things a leader can do is take time to think. In fact, psychologist Esther Buchholz said it beautifully. Others inspire us. Information feeds us. Practice improves our performance. But we need quiet time to figure things out. Let that sink in for a minute. Without reflection, we don't absorb our experiences and we don't learn our lessons. As a leader, when you model reflection, whether it's taking 10 minutes at the end of the day to jot down lessons learned or having a quiet cup of coffee in the morning to think about big picture items, you're showing your team by example that reflection does matter. You encourage them to do the same. Extraordinary leaders create space for insight for themselves and for their teams. It's in those reflective pauses that good ideas become great, and great plans become game changer. And it shifts the culture of your team and organization. We've covered a lot: asking questions, truly listening, spotting patterns, challenging your team, focusing on solutions, and taking time to reflect. These 6 strategies might sound simple, but this is the stuff that separates the extraordinary manager from the extraordinary leader. What's the common thread? It's all about lifting others up and continually improving yourself and making sure they have the opportunities to improve themselves. As Maxwell reminds us, extraordinary leadership is about developing other people's potential. When you do that, you're not just achieving goals, you're building a legacy of empowerment and innovation, and you're crafting a culture that impacts your current team and teams. Now, I'll challenge you. Pick one of these strategies and implement it today. Start the week off with it. Maybe in your next team meeting, you'll ask more questions and learn from those questions. Listen intently. There's plenty to learn. At the end of the day, take 10 minutes alone to reflect what you learned today. In the morning, think about how you want the day to go, what's important. And in the weekend, kind of do a review of the week. Figure out what was good, what could be better, and what you want to implement for the next week. Comment below which strategy you're going to try first. I'd love to know. Remember, challenge doesn't happen overnight, but each small step will push your leadership from extraordinary to. Now, I challenge you, pick one of these strategies and implement it today. Maybe in your next team meeting, you'll ask more questions and listen intently. Or at the end of today, take 10 minutes alone to reflect on what you learned today. At the end of the week, think about the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, the ugly, what went well, what did not, and what could go better. Think about how you can make changes for the next week to make sure you avoid and your team avoids those. Comment below which strategy you're going to try first. I'd love to know. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight, but each small step will push your leadership from ordinary to extraordinary. Before you go, here's a powerful thought from Theodore Roosevelt. The best executive is one who has sense enough to pick good people to do what he wants done and self restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they do it. In other words, choose your team well, empower them, and trust them. That's what extraordinary leadership is in a nutshell. If you found value in this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe.